Hello Tatsat Yogis, and welcome to the chakra series where we are focusing on the heart chakra, Anahata chakra. The colors for this chakra are green and pink generally, and it's your heart chakra, so it's situated around your heart, your chest. Your respiratory system is very much affected by the heart chakra. So we're doing some heart openers and some heart softeners. So come to lie down on your back. It's a good place to begin. We're going to start with our feet in constructive rest. So taking your feet to the edges of the mat, dropping the knees in towards each other. Bring your hands onto your belly. And take a good deep breath in. Exhale, side out through the mouth. And take two more like that. Inhale. Exhale out through mouth. Last one, inhale. And exhale out through mouth. Make any minor adjustments. Soften the chin to the chest and just become aware of the belly rising in towards the hands. Now the lower back to just soften down onto the ground. Let the breath begin to lengthen and deepen. And begin to set each thought aside as it fights for your attention. Bringing your awareness to that black movie screen behind the eyes. Perhaps you perceive some things there, some images, some colors. Coming into this practice of non-judgment, this is one of the most important parts of a heart chakra opening, a heart chakra awareness is non-judgment. We come into this practice with compassion. So as you lie on the ground here with the heart open and exposed, just allow yourself the next 30 minutes or so of vulnerability. We're going to work a little, it's a vinyasa class, but try to find some compassion for yourself. This is a good place to begin with compassion. We often want to direct our compassion towards other people, have empathy. But the true depth of that compassion can only really be explored if we're able to direct some of that compassion towards ourselves. So let's begin to open our hearts a little bit. Bring your heels in line with your hips, soften your chin to your chest. You want to walk your heels as close up to your bottom as you can get them. An ideal is to kind of get your fingertips to brush against the heels, but that's not a definite. Press your hands into the ground to support you. Inhale as you exhale, draw the belly to the spine, and then in your next inhalation, because this is a back bend, the bridge, inhaling up into your bridge, tucking the tailbone, rolling up, sliding the chin in towards the chest, and the chest slides towards the face. Grounding down through the feet, making sure that all four corners of the feet are grounded. Come to full deep breath. I love a bridge because I can see my breath working, I can see my belly rising. Feeling your quadriceps beginning to support you. When we're doing back bends, whether they are deep or shallow, or standing or seated, it's your quadriceps, your psoas, this big muscle that connects your torso to your legs, and your quadriceps, your thighs. These muscles work quite strongly to support you in your back bends. Last breath, coming down, upper back, middle back, lower back. So we're going to work our quads a little bit and stretch our quads a little bit. And then just remembering that, like the body, the chakras don't work on their own. They flow together. So with your next rolling up into this bridge, imagining that your base chakra, your root chakra, the red, activates and then moves through to the sacral chakra, your swadhisthana, the orange. Activates, moves through to the manipura chakra, the digestive system, your abdominals, the yellow. And that is now in turn moving through to the heart, green or pink. At the heart center, inhale, exhale, draw belly to spine, manipura. Tuck the tailbone, rolling up.
Muladhara Swadhisthana Manipura Anahata in the heart. Inhale, exhale. I want you to focus more on lifting the hips rather than sort of squeezing the glutes. The upper body, the shoulders, the neck, the back of the head, the face, the jaw, all relaxed. Very important when we're in something like a bridge or a plow that when the chin is tucked into the chest, it must remain there. It is helping the neck to stay stable. You don't want to look from side to side, even with the eyes. And last breath, rolling down upper back, middle back, lower back. Take a moment. You know, I love me a windshield wiper. Just walk those feet out to the edges of the mat, extend the arms out to shoulder height. Let's just come into some very gentle windshield wipers, taking your gaze in the opposite direction to where your knees are going. And then we're going to come to bringing the knees to the chest, and we're going to take some rock and rolls, and then you're going to catch yourself in a boat. So if a boat is not something that is accessible to you, then come up to seated after your rock and roll and work with your hands on your knees, lift the chest, soften the shoulders, and then start to just catch your balance just with your toes touching the ground. If you are proficient in your boat, whatever variation of boat you're taking, then you go ahead, stay with the breath. Trying to fire up that digestive system, those abdominal muscles to support you. Because when we're going backwards, whether it's whatever kind of back bend it is, your abdominal muscles are there to support your spine. So that's how muscles and bone work together. Taking one or two or three, whatever you can manage in this here boat. And last breath. Take the feet out to side, roll up onto all fours. Let's start to get a little more into the spine. Spread those fingers nice and wide. Let's move through some cat and cow. You can take your standard cat and cow initially. And then you know how I love me some organic movement. So then maybe just adjusting your hands, dropping into the hips from side to side. Maybe a hip roll or two. One of my favorite things to come into at this point is this kind of up dog cobra variation where your hips aren't quite touching the floor, the elbows are a little bit bent. But really just playing around with some organic movement here. And then we're going to start to move a little into warming more into the back, into the spine, folding forward into your melting heart. So this pose is a little more about surrender. If this makes you a bit uncomfortable, welcome to yoga. Just allowing yourself to sit a little with that discomfort. So walking the hands forward, untucking the tailbone so your sit bones are rolling up towards the ceiling. Inhale as you exhale, taking the forehead down to the ground. Now you can make this as active or as passive as you like. So if you want to work a little harder, you come up onto the fingertips and temple the fingers. Draw the belly to the spine. Lift the forearms off of the floor. So this is really great for working into your back bends because you want your shoulders to be mobile and open and flexible. And then you want this flexibility across the chest so that when you are opening the heart, there is support from the front and the back. And the shoulders are involved in this as well. If you're not wanting to work as hard as this in your melting heart, then just rest your forearms down on the ground and walk the hands a little further back so that the elbows are a bit softer. You're still getting the benefits of an open heart here and the act of surrender. So often our compassion can only come flooding into our hearts when we actually let go, when we forgive, when we surrender. Remembering that when we speak about forgiveness, we're not saying that forgiveness doesn't help the person that you're forgiving. Forgiveness is for you. And forgiveness is like keeping yourself in a prison. The person that you are not forgiving has no idea often how you feel. So this act of forgiveness is really to set yourself free more than it is to do anything for the person that you are wanting to or not wanting to forgive. Last breath. Inhale as you exhale, walk those hands back. And I want to work a little into the wrists, particularly if we're going to do prone back bends, so things like cobra. Just want to warm those wrists a little bit. Bring the elbows up in line with the shoulders and give these wrists a good, vigorous shaking. You can see I'm in toe tuck. Toe tuck is optional for you here. We are focused on back bends and the heart chakra, so if you don't want to do toe tuck, you don't have to. You take the arms around the back in wide arc, clasp the fingers, and then again we're getting into that shoulder mobility and we're stretching across the chest, across the clavicles. This is what's really important as well in your back bend, is warming the front of the body as much as you're warming the back of the body. So the front of the body is in extension, as you can see here, and then the back of the body is in flexion. If this is super comfy for you, you can even drop your knuckles down onto the ground and lift the chest, open the heart, drop the head back. If that's not all where you are, then you just keep it somewhere a little bit more neutral. Speaking of neutral, you can just bring that tailbone into neutral. So we've got a couple of options here. This is good. If you're in that back bend, all the way down onto the knuckles, and gently release that, coming up. And just shake it out into those wrists one more time. Come to those all fours. Take your hands a little bit wider. Keep your toes tucked under if you've had them tucked under, and push up to downward facing dog. Let's take a little movement here, a little pedal. Inhale as you exhale. Stick the tongue out of the mouth. Draw the belly towards the spine, even taking a little Uddiyana here. I do enjoy a Uddiyana here. Inhale. As you exhale, tuck the tailbone, ripple through to that plank. Lift the breastbone around the back very slightly. You don't want to round the back too much. You want to take that sensation that the inner edges of your shoulders, at least, are rolling towards the outer edges of your shoulders, because we're looking for an external rotation in the shoulder joints here. Inhale, exhale, drop down onto the knees, chest and chin, come all the way down. Taking a low back bend here of your choice, either a little baby cobra, keep those legs active. Maybe you're ready to go a little bit deeper and you want to come to a sarpasana, a snake. Whatever you're doing here, make sure that you keep the neck nice and long. So either looking directly down to the ground or just taking your gaze just beyond your mat. And release. Either taking your forearm cheat or your full reverse plank, or knees, chest, chin, which is what I'm going to choose. Coming back up to that dog. Inhale, exhale. You've always got the option of coming to the toes, lifting the heels, and then taking your right leg up to the split. If that is not where you are today, you don't have to do that. You can keep your foot on the ground, stay in your dog for a moment or two. And then we're all just going to step that right leg in between our hands and come a little more into this low lunge and then a quadricep stretch. So coming into your low lunge, inhale the arms up, soften the shoulders, and then again, take the arms around the back, clasp the fingers, lift the chest, open the heart. If you are very bendy in the back and you want to work a little deeper, you can slide that left hand a little further down the back of your leg. Maybe you can get a little bit more depth into the hip. You might even find a slight twist here, so just be careful with this. This is really for the very bendy in the back. Maybe take your gaze towards the heel of your left foot. If that's too much, then you just keep your shoulders squared off and stay in any variation of the open heart here. Leave the arms up, or the arms extended behind you, fingers clasped. One more breath. And release. Bring the arms up for just a moment. And then take both hands down to the inside of the front foot and walk that front foot slightly further out to the side. Take your left hand slightly further out to the side. See if you can drop a little deeper into those hips. And then take your right arm out in front. Turn the thumb down. Again, we want to get into this shoulder mobility and stretching across the front of the body, across the chest. Maybe you're just reaching back here. If you've got more capacity for this, I want to work into the quadricep and then pull your back foot up. Maybe you can't reach it and you're just reaching for it. That's where the work is, that's fine. Make sure you're not dumping into that left shoulder. Push the floor away with the left hand. If you can reach that foot, Then really drawing that heel deeply into your quadricep, maybe even sliding onto the knife edge of the right foot if that is comfortable in the ankle. If that feels dodgy in the ankle, then don't do that. Look over that right shoulder. Maybe you can drop the hips a little deeper. And last breath, release that back foot. Slowly, slowly with control. Walk the front foot back to center. Hands on either side of front foot. Lift the back knee. Step back to plank and take your vinyasa. Knees, chest, chin, up dog or cobra. You're going to go a little bit higher if you like. So maybe you're in your your up dog, my bad. In which case just the tops of your feet and your hands are on the floor. Or maybe you're in a little bit of a half cobra. Maybe you're just in your low cobra. So this is really, I want you to work here with your capabilities and where your spine is at. Release. Everybody meeting back in that dog. Reverse plank, knees, chest, chin, reverse. Take some moments in that dog. Come to toes, lift heels, ribs to thighs if you're going there. Left leg up, you don't have to do this, you can stay in the dog. And then when you're ready, bring the left leg through, drop your right knee, inhale the arms up into that low lunge. Pull back slightly, maybe dip a little deeper. And then taking again whatever variations you want here, either just extending the arms and arching the heart back, dipping low into the hips, but making sure that the lower back is safe. So if you need to pull back and tuck your tailbone very slightly to support your lower back, so that you're feeling more stable here. If untucking the tailbone and swinging all the way into this really low lunge makes you feel a little uncomfortable or even painful, then don't do that, pull back. Maybe you are exploring this side like you did on the other side and you're taking that right hand towards the right heel, coming into a little bit of a back bend and a twist. This is also good for the fascia. Inhale, exhale. And last breath. Everybody up in the full low lunge for just a moment, arms up. Hands down on either side of front foot. Lift your back knee. Step back to that plank. And then this time, instead of going all the way through your vinyasa, let's just meet on our tummies. Hold your plank a little bit if you want. Come down, knees, chest, chin. Take one of my favorite back bends. Take your arms, your hands out to the side, temple the fingers. Your hands are more or less in line with your shoulders, the elbows are lifted. Start with the forehead on the ground. Point your toes, lift your kneecaps. Let the legs stay grounded. Inhale, rolling up. You're pushing into your fingers and coming up as high as you can into this back bend. You may even straighten your arms, it just depends on your flexibility. But maybe keeping the elbows bent and exhaling down. I want you to just find this undulating sensation here. You're inhaling up and exhaling down. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Inhaling up and exhaling down. Bring the hands back underneath your shoulders, or take your forearm cheeks if you need to. Tuck the toes, come onto the knees, push up, and facing dog. Look towards your hands and step your left leg back in between your hands, drop your right knee. Walk your left foot a little further out to the side, and we're coming into that quadricep stretch. Take your left hand forward, drop the thumb down, and then reach back. You're either just reaching back for that extended leg, make sure that you are not dumping into that right shoulder, or maybe you're pulling the foot up and drawing that heel into the glute, stretching that right quadricep. Inhale, exhale. So when the heart chakra is a little bit out of balance, we can experience things like jealousy, codependency. We can often find ourselves in this space where we're kind of needing to be needed. Walk that foot back to center, hands on either side of that front foot, lift your back knee, and step back, taking your vinyasa. Remember, you don't have to take every vinyasa that comes your way. You can take a rest, you can take a break. Coming into whatever back bend feels good for you here. Maybe you're in the up dog, maybe you're in the cobra. Take your time with that vinyasa. We're all meeting back in the dog. Take a breath or two. Inhale, exhale. Draw the shoulders away from the ears. Draw the belly to the spine. Let's catch a little turbo dog as we come down. So come up onto your toes. Bend the knees. Shift your weight forward into your hands very slightly. And then just hover those knees above the floor. Press the floor away. Micro bend the elbows. Draw the belly to the spine. You hover here for as long as you can. You need to come down, and release it. And then sitting down onto your heels, toe tucks if you want. If you find that your knees get a little bit sensitive, we're going to go to camel. You can always take a blanket or a pillow, cushion, and support your knees as we come into our camel. Before we come into our camel, I want to just do a little side stretch. So just come into Vajrasana. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see, or at least front on so you can see. Just going to do a little side stretch. The deeper we go into our back bends, we want the whole of the torso to feel flexible, and this includes your fascia. Your fascia is that membrane that covers the whole body. It's like the white film on citrus fruit that keeps the segments together. We have that on our whole body. So side bending, when we want to back bend, helps to keep that malleability of the body. So just come into a little side bend, take your right hand out to the side, walk your fingers out to the side. If Vajrasana is really hideous for you, then come and sit on your bum, no problem, in Sukhasana. Bend into that right elbow, draw the right elbow forward and the top elbow, your left elbow back, shoulder at least, and then inhale that arm up and over. Push into your right hand and ground down into your left hip. Look past your left shoulder. Look into the room and look down to the ground. And swap sides. Reach up, ground down, bend that left elbow, reach over, top arm. And coming up to center and coming up to your camel. Most important thing with your camel, if you feel tremendously unstable in the hips or the lower back, then you can take your knees a little bit wider if you have to. But otherwise, try to keep your knees at hip distance apart. Adjust your clothes. So we want to feel this feeling. So we've warmed up our core a little bit, because when we're doing any back bend, we're using our tummy muscles, supporting the spine. Pelvic floor, draw the pelvic floor up and back. So that's Mula Bandha, the Muladhara, your base chakra, and your sacral chakra. Roll the shoulders away from the ears, and you can either bring the hands into the low back, fingers pointing down, or fingers pointing up. I don't mind which. Inhale, exhale, draw the belly to the spine, draw the elbows nice and tight. And then on your next inhalation, inhaling, lean back. Remember, we inhale on the back bends. Maybe you can take your gaze up to the ceiling, drop your head back, keep softening the shoulders, elbows nice and tight. This is level 1. And release, jump down on your heels. I'm going to move through this fairly quickly. Just feel that release in the lower back. You're either going to do 2 more exactly like that, or
Tuck the toes under. Hands into the low back. Inhale, exhale. On your next inhalation, leaning back. Push the hips forward. Again, we want this sensation of opening the heart, stretching across the clavicles, and then maybe you can reach your hands down towards your heels. Try to reach your hands together simultaneously. We don't want to go into a twist here. Once you've grabbed your heels, push your hips forward, lift the chest, open the heart, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Maybe you can drop the head back. It depends on your cervical spine, your neck. Remember, you don't have to be here. You can be here. Last breath, release. Down onto your bum. Take your blanket away if you had one. That's all we're doing there. The heart is quite open after that. Come to an open kneed extended child. Take your knees far apart, big toes to touch. Inhale as you exhale. Fold forward. This should feel quite nice now. And surrender. Folding forward, melting the heart down is as important as opening the heart up. One of the first studies that Brené Brown got noticed for, I think, was one where they discovered that people with significantly high levels of compassion had significantly high levels of the ability to boundary, to put good boundaries in. So there's this very clear connection between our compassion and how much we have to give is very, very closely connected to how much we know when not to give. This is really important for the heart. Knowing when to give is just as important as knowing when not to give. Take your feet out to the side. Come onto your bottom, reaching for warm things or blankets or eye pillows. Shift your weight down towards your heels, roll down onto your back. You can always work a little more core if you like. And down onto the back. Beautiful. Take a little breath there. Bring the knees into the chest. Give them a squeeze. Really want to iron out that low back after back bending. Happy baby. This is always a winner. If you have any low back pain or low back tension. And then if the windshield wipers are your jam and you like an easy, a soft little twist after back bending, you go for those windshield wipers, dropping the knees from side to side. If you like something a little more intense, then bring the right knee up into the chest, extend the left leg along the floor, and then draw the right knee across the body, extending the right arm out to the side. One of my favorite twists. You don't have to yank or push or pull here. You can just let that knee, let gravity do her thing. Last breath. Roll back to center, swap sides, just give those knees a little squeeze one more time. If you are done with your windshield wipers and you are ready for Shavasana, you just sort yourself out, roll into your Shavasana. Otherwise, drawing the left knee across the body, extending the left arm out to the side. Make sure both shoulders are grounded. Again, a good deep breath. Exhale, sigh out through your mouth. And last breath. Knees back up for a last squeeze, and we're all heading to Shavasana now. Make sure that the lower back is happy. If it's not, then take another twist. Extend the legs out in front of you. Blankets, jerseys, eye pillows, whatever it is that you need. Allow the eyes to gently close. Allow the weight of the body to sink into the ground. Just directing some of that compassion towards yourself through rest. Giving yourself a chance to rest is one of the most important ways that we can show ourselves compassion and kindness. Bring your awareness back to your breath. Take a little wiggle into the fingers and the toes. Rotate the ankles and the wrists. Inhale the arms above the head. Take a good full body stretch. Point the toes, flex the feet. Bring the knees into the chest. Give them a last squeeze. Rolling over onto whichever side feels good for you, left or right. Take a moment. And then press yourself up. Sit up tall. Bring the hands to prayer at the heart center, and we'll close off with the heart chakra bija seed mantra, which is yum. Exactly like what you express when dinner looks delicious. Yum. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Hariom Tat Sat. Namaste. I hope you have an open heart today.